Myself Parthasarthy Vijayan, faculty from Trauma Care Management, working at SRMC. I'm a victim and a survivor of a bomb blast which has happened in July 2008 and in Ahamedabad. So I'm going to share you that experience with you all now. So in July 2008 I was working in Ahamedabad as a clinical instructor and teaching pre-hospital care to the paramedics and the EMTs or the pilots. And this has happened on 26th July 2008. We received a dispatch information that there was a serial bomb blast happening in Ahmedabad and the neighboring districts. So they were asked for the additional medical teams to help the victims. So initially we rushed to the Ahmedabad civil hospital where the patients will be coming for the treatment, because majority of the patients will be shifted to that civil hospital, which is the biggest hospital in the Ahmedabad. So as a medical team, we rushed to the Ahmedabad Civil Asarva Hospital, and once we reached there, we were shifting the patients from the incoming ambulances to the trauma centers. And within 5 minutes of duration upon our arrival, there was a second explosion which happened inside a trauma center, and I got trapped in that and got injured, and because of that we sustained major injuries. So what happened during at the time, so when the explosion went off, so suddenly there were lots of commotion. People were running for their life and they didn't care about the people who were injured there. So the people injured lying in their own blood, bathing in their own blood and screaming for the help. So initially nobody didn't witness us, and they didn't care to help us also. So after an hour, then the commotion got settled, then people came rushing in, then they carried us and took us into the trauma center, the entrance of the trauma centers, because they cannot take us into the trauma center because it was severely damaged there. And initially majority of the people sustained major injuries, like amputations was there, and fractures were being seen. Some of them were dead and their bodies were scattered like anything. So it was very horror to witness all those things. So my discussion points are, after the incidents like bomb blast or the terror attack, there will be lots of confusions will be there. So there won't be immediate help will be available and people will run for their life. So what will happen, the second thing is the communication will be affected. So you will not be able to communicate with anybody through telephonically, or you cannot call for help immediately, because in incidents like a bomb blast or a terror attack or explosion situation, the mobile networks will be jammed immediately, because the terrorists can trigger the explosion through a mobile network, so the communication will be jammed immediately. So that's what same thing has happened with me. I was helpless for nearly an hour there. So I was lying injured victim, I didn't get any help. We tried to contact our base, but I am not able to communicate with them through telephonically, because the mobile communication was totally jammed. Okay. So the next thing I want to tell is, being a paramedic, you people need to do a proper scene size up. So scene size up, we all know that what it is, why it is important, and why we need to do that one in all sort of emergencies. And specifically like explosion or a bomb blast situation, it's very mandatory and important thing. So you all know the components of the scene size up. So initially we need to take care of our safety. So the first thing, from my experience, I failed to do that scene safety mechanism. So that's why I got injured, and ultimately I didn't do a scene size up there. Second thing, you need to see a number of patients there. So number of patients in a mass casualty kind of situations, you will see more patients, and that's why the term disaster comes into play, because there will be a more number of patients, there will be a lacking of resources and the supplies and the manpower will be there. So you need to call for immediate backup once you heard or got a dispatch of the mass casualty incident has been declared. Then next thing, the appropriate equipments you needed to be carried on the scene, that has to be prepared and kept ready. Okay. Then next thing, you need to care about the mechanism of injury. Specifically, if you are talking about the bomb blast or explosion kind of situation, the mechanism of injuries will be more or less there will be a amputations can be the injuries like amputations can be seen, musculoskeletal injuries will be seen, penetrating injuries can be seen from the sharpeners which is getting exploded from the bomb or the explosion device. Then with the mechanism of injury, it will give us an idea that how to manage that particular injury, what kind of management plan you are going to do for the particularly injured victim. Okay, so you need to do a proper scene sizer, and if your scene is not safe, and you cannot enter the scene to treat the victim. And once the incident command post is established and the scene is declared safe and the patients have been evacuated from the scene to the safer area, then there the paramedics can go and do a primary survey, and they can start doing a primary triage. So with the help of, there are lots of protocols involved in it. So you need to be familiarized with your triage protocol and the local protocol which has to be adhered with the working hospitals. The pre-hospital care you are going to provide for the injured victims. The injured victims, normally the pre-hospital care doesn't have much difference in there, so you need to go with the airway breathing circulation protocol. And in case of if it is of a CEABC is the situation, okay, then you need to provide adequate care to the patient, manage the life-threatening injuries, and you need to shift the patient to the appropriate facility which needs an immediate intervention, surgical interventions or whatever it is needed for the patient. And the next thing, you need to have a track of the patients, whichever patients you are moving to the facilities. That can be done with the help of the triage tracks. Nowadays the triage tracks are coming in barcoding systems, and you can scan the barcodes and you can come to know that how many number of patients or what categories of patients has been shifted to the which center, that is the priority 1 patient how many numbers, and the priority 3 or priority 2 patients how many are there. So those things can be immediately updated from that scanning the barcode which is present in the triage tags. And next thing, to do all these things in very efficiently, you need to do a regular disaster drills. From the disaster drills, we can learn from the mistakes with the help of the expert opinion suggestion. So where we went right and where we went wrong, and we can strengthen the gray areas. And lastly, the documentation part, by doing a proper documentation which will be helpful for your future studies, like doing research on the particular emergencies like disaster incidents, so which will help you to learn much, and which can build a future planning for the future disaster events which is going to happen. Thank you all.